This monologue is to describe why I don't know a great deal about what has gone on with respect to me. Largely because I'm deaf and could not go to college. So there would be no question of my becoming a teacher and having students or anything of that sort. But at the same time, certain conversations that have gone on in my lifetime about me have revealed, for example, the cowardliness towards obvious injuries and disabilities that was exhibited by the Pittsburgh administration of higher learning, by my peers, by the NAACP. And what they pulled together were these sickening sexual attacks on my person. And these innuendos of really cruel Hollywood gangsterism, making extreme demands on a deaf person who was battered to cover this cowardliness. And this is particularly parched in Seattle, where they murder people and say that recognition in the socialist faction requires extreme service and martyrdom. It's extremely bizarre to hide your cowardice behind such ultimatums, but that's what they do. And it's been hard for me to learn about what they talk about with themselves. They have a Mobius rhetorical ploy. They lie to and they lie about me. Anybody who looked at the evidence, even for a moment, would realize that the cutting edge of their intellectual circuit has insulted the intelligence of every man, every woman, and every child on earth. But the rhetorical ploy has a sort of catchiness because of the way that they hide their cowardice behind these extreme demands, making it look like they're not cowards by torturing somebody else, that they're brave individuals because of their extreme demands. Some people are so wowed by this rhetorical ploy that they neglect that they have taken leave of their senses. And I've wondered why it has been so pernicious, why the sandbaggers, who were people who were in on what was done, have prevailed without detection, without counterbalance, without checks, without Phi Theta Kappa saying, that's one of our members you have molested, without the administration of schools saying his father was senior faculty and a distinguished naval veteran, without Amnesty International, who called him a hero, saying, what did you do to his son? Without Louis Lapham taking the side of the extremists in military right-wing psychopathy against a 9-year-old child being deplorably abused by a gang of Zionists. It doesn't make any sense if you don't know what they've learned. When you do learn what they've learned, you have to sigh in sadness and surrender. What they've learned is something that's known as Gramsci's war of position, meaning there's only one chair And they look at me and they realize I've been reading on my own. They didn't teach me sign language. In fact, they very severely punished the girl who taught me sign language. And they realized I'm an award-winning poet. And I must have been handsome because the girls were interested in me. And in fact, the tyrannical sadists in rock who relished raping women and going to Epstein Island were so abominated by my distinction of restraint in personal affairs that they castrated me. What you learn is something called the fight of position. And they look at me and they see a poet who wins awards and they think, well, you must have done something wrong. I didn't do something wrong. I'm deaf. And then they say, so therefore you were completely ignoring what I just said and the truth of it. You must pay with an extreme sacrifice. Okay, whatever. This is how they think and what they get away with it because they're fighting for a war of position. So they yanked that chair of philosophy out from my father and install somebody who fits a higher intersectionality, it's called. And if you don't want to fight back, you're surrendering to their derision. They will force you to fight back by torturing you. So this is what they get away with. And the war of position, Gramsci's war of position, in this case, is a function of genocide. They used Gramsci's war of position as a mob entertainment culture while allowing human bombs to wander around, spreading something that they might have shown some restraint about if they were being properly informed about what was going on. Instead, the entertainment media said we have one chair to sit next to Midori Goto, and that person will pull the sword Excalibur from the King Crimson Stone. And the whole will be greater than the sum of its parts, meaning you'll get Mr. Paul McCartney's autograph. Won't you be neat? And the select committee on intersectionalities at Seattle and Pitt schemed up this idea of using a Green Party masquerade about racial struggle to cover for the incidents of a vacant Prince of Fools next to the Queen of Life in Mick Jagger's ideal Magic Kingdom, to put up a diversion about the way that they were covering for genocide, an attack of very morbid purpose that occurred under the monster Reagan during Evil Hour. Which means that when you hear of the axis of colonialism being up against the axis of resistance, they're two wings of the same bird when it comes to the way that this diversion and poaching, which was masquerading as a headhunt, was used to deflect and prevent information from getting around that could have saved lives under an onerous and gargantuan crime. So the sandbaggers are, in my opinion, very pathetic people. And of course, they sit with the monoliths at the University of Moscow and say, everything you say turns around and goes back at you. Meaning, if I call them pathetic people, it's only because I'm pathetic. Well, It is pathetic what they've done to me, and they've rendered me fairly pathetic. I don't dispute that. But for somebody as pathetic as me to find them pathetic with such very solid grounds is itself a statement